All right, welcome to Discover Fairbanks. I'm Justin Heminger with Apex Realty Group, and our video today is going to be a little bit different. Today we're going to meet Bradon Phillips, also with Apex Realty Group, and we're going to hear his Golden Heart story, essentially how he made it to Fairbanks and why he stays. Brandon and I own and operate Apex Realty Group as a team together, and during my videos, when you hear me say we see this, we see that, especially when I'm talking about real estate, Brandon is the other half of we.
It's not the royal we.
No, not the royal we for sure. Over the past 2 years, while I've been working to build our YouTube channel, Brandon's been building our business here in Fairbanks and North Pole by serving our clients with the same high level of customer service and knowledge and wisdom that I offer here in our YouTube channel.
Justin's basically the brains, and I am the not brains.
The other brains.
The other brains.
The other brains.
So Justin runs operations, and I do most of the field work, listings, showings, things like that.
So without Brandon, our team would be sunk for sure. So although you've seen my face in all of our videos, you haven't seen very much of his. So today we're going to help you get to know him a little bit more. Brandon, thank you again for joining us in the Apex Realty Group / Discover Fairbanks studios, also known as our living room, or my living room. Not
His,
our,
yeah.
Mine.
I have my own living room.
Yeah.
I have a couple of them.
So let's talk about what brought you to Fairbanks. So when did you first come to Fairbanks?
I came here in March of 2003. Justin, I was a 19-year-old private in the Army. So I got out of the Army in 2009. I was actually buying a house at the time, and the realtor that I was working with had a team that he was starting, and he gave me one of his great agents. She's still an agent in this town, by the way. Her name's Jewel Addison. Wonderful human being.
She is awesome. She's also great to work with too.
Amazing. Anyway, this isn't the Jewel Addison real estate channel.
It's true.
This is the Apex Realty Group's channel. So, but anyway, the guy I was working with said, "Hey, do you want to come work with me and do what Jewel does?" And I thought she was amazing, and so yes, I immediately took that job. Started working with buyers, and then in 2012 we opened an office out in North Pole where I live. And I got my associate broker's license so that I could run that office out there, basically. Started working with sellers then, and now I do buyers and sellers. So a little bit of a mix there.
Yeah, we kind of do everything now, right?
Yeah.
You know, how would you describe kind of your experience getting out of the Army and then subsequently getting into real estate?
It was a bit of a transition. I had not. I mean, the Army is the only thing I'd done since I was 18 years old. So I guess it was just different because, punctuality was not a big thing. Like somebody said, meet at 10, I would be there at 9:45 waiting on them. And now I'm not that punctual. So
Maybe we'll edit that part out.
Yeah.
So over your, I guess we're at 13 years in real estate, what would you say is your most memorable story, if you have one?
My most memorable story was definitely a house that I'd listed out in North Pole. It was in pretty rough shape. They were going to sell their house and move to the lower 48 to enjoy their retirement. It was a very difficult home to sell. Like I said, it needed a lot of work. And over the course of the listing, he had gotten cancer, and then we finally got an offer on the house, and right after it closed, he passed away. And so it was really sad, and I'd called to follow up and just see how things were going. And she said, I think that he was holding on to get this house closed so I wouldn't have to deal with it in probate or anything like that. And that's a kind of a sad story, but it humanizes what we do. I mean, we work for people. Houses are a product of what we do, but we work for people.
Do you happen to have any funny or unusual stories from your time in real estate?
Yeah, I'd say probably the funniest thing that happened was I was showing houses on a Saturday and had a confirmed showing. It was a split entry home. So you go downstairs, then upstairs. So we went to the downstairs first, looked around, went upstairs, went to the kitchen, and then at the other end of the house was a closed door. So I opened that closed door, and the seller was asleep in bed and saw us, I guess, or felt the disturbance. I don't know how she knew we were there because it turned out that she was deaf. And her son had confirmed the showing and then forgot to tell his mom.
Well, I guess you could still tell.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it scared the snot out of her, scared the snot out of us.
That would have been terrifying.
Yeah, just a surprise seller in bed. So we hauled tail out of there. Ended up not writing an offer on that house.
That would have been a weird way to start a transaction. Hey, sorry, we woke you up, but here's an offer on your house.
Right.
But, yeah, that is a pretty unusual one. Thinking about moving to Fairbanks? Well, click on the link below for my free relocation guide where I talk about top schools, top neighborhoods, and so much more. So what unique piece of advice would you have for somebody that's looking to buy their first home in Fairbanks or North Pole?
I would say start looking at a multifamily home, a duplex, triplex, fourplex, something like that. They're not ideal for most people's living situation, especially people moving to Alaska. They want a cabin in the woods on the river with a mountain view and all that stuff. But if you buy a multifamily property, it can turn into a income producing property for you very quickly. It can subsidize your mortgage because it is expensive to live here, and it's nice to not have so much of your money going into your house. Boilers and guns and snow machines and all those things are expensive, and it's nice to have a little bit of money left over for those things. You definitely want to start early as well. Get an idea of what the housing market's going on with. That's what we're here for. We can help you out with that. If you're looking for, you need to know what your budget is and what you can reasonably afford. We definitely don't want you to buy something and be house poor, but prices are pretty high up here. So we want you to start getting pre-approved as quickly as you can, as early as you can. That way, like I said, you know your budget, you know your purchasing power, and it also gives you that strategic negotiating position so that when you are ready to write an offer on a house, you already got that pre-approval done. We also want you to talk to our local lenders as well. Bethany over at First Rate Financial. She's done several of my mortgages personally. I love her and her team. As a matter of fact, I met her because her husband and I were in the Army together. That strongly worded pre-approval letter, as a matter of fact, they'll do a $5,000 guarantee. It's basically like additional earnest money as a guarantee to the seller that this loan is going to close.
Yeah, or they'll guarantee it up to $5,000. They'll pay to the seller if it doesn't close.
Yes.
Due to some sort of issue on their end.
Right.
Pretty awesome. Yeah, starting early and possibly fixing credit issues ahead of time if there are.
Yeah,
some to reduce your interest rates.
Yeah. She can take a look at your credit report and say, hey, instead of putting all this money down on a house, why don't you pay off this credit card or pay off this vehicle? Because that's going to fix your debt to income ratio a lot more than just paying it down on the mortgage. Also, if you're going to be selling your home in the next couple of years, it's a good idea to know the condition of your home. Let's walk around it. Let's see if there's any peeling paint or broken windows, or this is Fairbanks, Alaska. From the time you walk in to the window store, the time you get that window can be 6 to 8 weeks later if they can find somebody to install it for you. So
I think the turnaround time for getting windows, measured and then back and installed is ridiculous. I say ridiculous like I don't mean that to say like, hey, window industry here in Fairbanks, you guys are unreasonable.
No,
but it is what it is. It's just hard to get windows measured, cut, and then back up here because of where we live. I mean, it's a tough process.
Also, you're going to want to talk to us before you go window shopping. Get it?
Let's talk about windows.
Okay, so talk to us before you go to buy windows. I went into one of our sellers' houses the other day. I'd gone in December. It needed some work. It's like, let's replace this window. It was in a bedroom. He's like, I got the window in. And I was like, yeah, let me come by and check out. Let me see the progress of this place. I walked in, and 2 seconds later, I was like, that's not an egress window, right? There's specific dimensions that those windows need to meet, and this is not one of them. And they'd gotten it from a box store here in town. It still took 6 weeks to get the wrong window. And I was like, hey man, call them and tell them to to come get their window and bring you a new one. Yeah, I don't know what the situations like that is going to be, but they knew it was a bedroom. I wouldn't expect every seller to know exactly what dimensions you have to have as far as openable area. Do you know them?
I know the rough opening has to be 5.7 square feet.
That is one of the criteria. It has to be
44 inches. The sill height has to be no more than 44 inches above the ground.
Right, and then it's got to be 20 wide by 24 tall, but 20 by 24 does not equal 5.7 square feet if you do the math. And then another fun tidbit, if it's a below grade window, it only has to be 5 square feet.
That's a pretty good explanation for egress windows.
Yeah.
One other thing that you can do if you're having an issue with sill height, let's say you have the egress windows, but your sill height, your window sill height is just a little bit off, you can install a permanent step, and a lot of times that will pass the financing guidelines to get you over that sill height.
Get you over the hump. Can't bring down the sill, let's bring up the floor. Another great thing to do if you're going to be selling, I would say sometime in the next year, is have us come out and we'll give you an idea on what to do as far as cosmetic upgrades and things like that. And then you might want to get a home inspection prior to listing, because the buyer's going to get one. So this, we like to say that, what is it? Bad news doesn't
get better with time.
Yeah, bad news. Well, I mean, some bad news could get better with time. But these things that are wrong with your house are going to be wrong, and you can know about it 6 months ahead of time, or you can find out about it 3 weeks prior to closing. And these things are going to have to get fixed, and you can budget your time, budget your money, and most of the things that a home inspector is going to find, you can fix by watching an informative YouTube video.
That's true, and majority of the things that they'll find right now will only be made worse with time. So if they find it right now and we can mitigate some of these issues now, then once we get on the market in 6-12 months or so, then if the buyers do get a home inspection, and that's a big if, because a lot of times buyers are seeing these inspections, especially if we're showing them a final inspection, saying, here's all of these inspection items that we got completed. This is all done. Here's the date. Everything's great. They're not asking for a lot of repairs. They're feeling very comfortable with the fact that the best inspector, at least in our opinions, Tim Henry with Arctic Engineering, has signed off on all these repairs after he said, these are all of the things, these are all of the deficiencies. These are the things that are not safe, sound, and sanitary. And they're feeling really good about that when they're writing offers. So being able to get on the market with a full disclosure about your home is a very, very powerful tool.
Yeah.
All right. So I hope you guys got some value out of meeting Bradon a little bit. He's definitely going to be in a lot more of our videos coming up here in the next few years. So thanks again, Bradon, for joining us. And again, I hope you guys got some value out of this. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, drop them in the comment section below. You can also reach out to us, 907-885-0316, or you can reach us on our website, www.fbxhomesearch.com.
And make sure if you're not subscribed to go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Oh, smash that like button.